Welcome, everybody, to episode 58 of Talkin ATL Hawks. Technically, this is episode 57 because I know the last episode didn't really feel the same without me there. So it was barely
It
even.
actually felt better.
It was
Yeah, no,
barely even an episode. Like, I would understand if you guys just didn't even watch it and y'all just skipped it to this one. I completely understand. I'm not going to put it past you guys. But yes, I am back. So all is good in the world. So no
We
need.
actually, on the contrary, we actually thought the podcast was better. So Andrew's actually getting transferred to the Talking NYK Knicks podcast,
That would
and me
never.
and John's gonna continue this one.
I would rather.
we actually do have no views on that podcast episode.
Oh
We have no
no.
views yet.
Not a
Oh,
single
no.
one. Oh brother.
Let me tell you this, boys. I would rather
Oh
somebody
brother.
pay me than for me to be put on the next podcast. Let me just go ahead and point to you that way.
Oh my gosh!
But
Amen.
yeah, guys, welcome back to the podcast. We are officially 10 days away from Christmas and the holiday. You know, me and Chase put up a little Christmas tree in our apartment, so our apartment's feeling a little bit more festive. You know, life is good right now. The Hawks got a big win yesterday. It hasn't been the best stretch of games here of late. As you know, I know John and Chase addressed that very, very well in the last episode. This episode, we only have 2 episodes to talk about because we went on that semi-week-long break because of the NBA Cup quarterfinal/semifinal games. And now the Hawks have another 4-day break in between the one we had yesterday to the one we have on Thursday against the Hornets because of the NBA Cup, which unfortunately the New York Knicks are in the championship game. So that's going to be an eyesore to watch.
Well,
Gonna
big
be
Spurs fans this Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm going to be hate watching the mess out of the Knicks. So yeah, we only have 2 episodes to get in today, so it might not be a super long episode, but we're still here for the ride. Of course, I'm always joined by my partner, John Joyner, and yeah, that's about it. I don't think I'm missing anybody. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Tough weekend of football for me. My Packers lost to Denver, and we had some injuries happen. Tough, but you know what? My day got better when the Hawks won their game last night, which we'll get into later. But I mean, yeah, I'm just happy to be back. Finally out of school for the next month. Couldn't be happier.
Yeah. On winter
Hey.
break, congratulations on your semester, Joyner.
Thank you.
And you know, for the first time in a long time, I'm able to say that I actually had a great week of football because I was able to watch my Falcons. Well, here's the thing: the Falcons have been eliminated from the playoffs mathematically, so the only thing we can do now is just play spoiler for everybody else in the NFC South. And we did that on the Buccaneers Thursday night, heading to Tampa in primetime. One of the best uniform matchups I've ever seen, by the way. And we watch the Falcons melt them creamsicles in Tampa thanks to a 3 touchdown performance from Kyle Pitts and a walk-off field goal. And a walk-off field goal from Zane Gonzalez, which knocked Tampa Bay out of first place. We helped Carolina, but then Carolina turned around and lost to the Aints on Sunday. So they absolutely just dismantled themselves. So we did all we could, Carolina. It's your fault now.
You can't help those who don't want to be helped. You know what I mean? Like, it's at the end of the day, it's their fault, whatever. Tampa Bay's back in first. But on the contrary, well, not on the contrary, we're just going to take it back to basketball. I am going to just throw this statement out here, but we're going to get into it later. So I'm just going to throw the statement out here and then just leave it at that because it is in relation to my start bench cut today. Jalen Johnson broke the franchise record for most triple doubles in Hawks history, which may surprise people because
I thought he tied for that, or he tied for someone.
He tied it in that game against the Pistons and then broke it yesterday in the game against the 76ers with his 5th consecutive triple-double.
Fourth. It was his fourth.
That's right. I'm sorry. You're right. 4th consecutive triple-double, which may surprise a lot of people because you would think that in a franchise history, somebody surely would have at least, 10 plus triple doubles in their time with Atlanta, but no.
You would think someone like Al Horford or Paul Millsap or someone like that.
You would think, but the Hawks, they're just not a franchise built around triple doubles. That's okay because Jalen Johnson, by the time he leaves Atlanta, hopefully that's when he retires. That triple double record is going to be all the way up here because he is not showing any signs of slowing down soon. So,
I really want to see number one in the Raptors in like 20 years.
Oh, in a statue right outside State Farm, right by that Dominique statue.
It's funny because even when he's having a bad game, because even yesterday against the 76ers, he had a really poor night in terms of shooting, yet he still collected a triple-double. And even like with the
shooting isn't the only part of
exactly
only part of basketball.
And it's consistent even when the Hawks are playing bad, because look at the game against the Pistons. That was one of the worst games the Hawks played all year, yet he still got a triple-double. So even in the good and the bad, Jalen Johnson's going to stay consistent no matter what.
Gatorade. But
well said.
Moving on to the not triple double. Well, yes, triple double, but the start bench cut. So I was thinking, I wanted to make this triple double related, and I wanted to make this start bench cut more of a quiz for you guys than it is an actual start bench cut. And I was sitting here thinking, I wonder if these guys can name the top 3 triple double leaders in Hawks history. And then I looked it up and realized how easy that would be because it's really not as surprising as you think. And the list is so minute because, like I said, not a lot of Hawks players get triple doubles in their history. So I moved that up a rank. I want to see if you guys can tell me the top 3 most triple doubles in NBA history by players. Now,
in a season?
Loki, that might be easier for me than naming just the Hawks.
You would think, but looking this up,
yeah, you're right.
I was quite surprised.
Hey, are we talking about in a season or a career?
A career. Now, there's one guy. There's only one guy on this list that I expect you guys to get. The other 2 were kind of a surprise for me. So we'll see how well you guys do. I'll let you, John and Chase, fight over who goes first while I take a sip of this.
So how's this going to work?
Mango Loco, not sponsored by the way, but it is a good drink.
How's this going to work?
So are we going to give our top 3? Like I'm going to give my top 3. He's going to get his top 3. And then at the end, you're going to tell us who was closest or if we got any right?
Yep.
Okay.
That's exactly. And
well, I already know who I think number 1 is. But number 2 and number 3, you said it's surprising, so it's kind of throwing me for a loop.
I already know my number 2, honestly. I think I know my number 2.
Okay. I will say number 2 is the one that surprised me a little bit. Because I don't really think of this guy to have a lot of triple doubles in his career, but apparently he did.
I'm gonna have a crazy pool since I feel like I'm not gonna really expect it. I'm gonna have a crazy pool for mine.
Okay.
Okay, I've got my 1.
Whoever whoever wants to go first.
I just my 3.
I got my top 3.
All right, Chase. Since you're finished first, you have the privilege of going first.
I think number 1, I think we all know is Russell Westbrook himself. He was the first player in NBA history to average a triple double in the season. So I think that by itself, I think I can say pretty comfortably puts him in first place all time.
Okay.
Now this is where I'm gonna get pretty crazy with my pools. I'm thinking about a guy that was under the radar. Had some pretty decent size to him. I mean, he was a guard, so obviously he's not too big. One of the best playmakers and probably the best passer in NBA history in terms of flashy passes. Throw it back to white chocolate, Jason Williams.
That is a interesting take.
Okay.
And then number 3, LeBron James, I guess.
Okay. Not a bad list. I don't know about that Jason Williams pick. I'm not saying.
I said that was a crazy pull. I said it was a crazy pull.
You agree on one person, and that so at my 1, it's Oscar Robertson.
Okay.
Oscar Robertson, former Buck, because I believe because I know that like Westbrook broke one of his records. I think Westbrook broke his record for like most triple doubles in a season. But I don't know if he broke the career, and I think Oscar Robertson still has the career triple doubles, which is what Andrew's asking. So my 1 and 2 is Oscar Robertson 1, Number 2 is Westbrook. And then I believe behind him is Jokic.
Oh, Jokic. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I got cooked.
Okay.
I definitely got cooked.
I'm going to say this right now. Chase, you went 1 for 3. The only player you got right on your list was Russell Westbrook being number 1.
That's the only one I was 100% confident on.
Yeah, Russell Westbrook's number 1.
I did know Russell Westbrook was number 1. Everything else, I had no idea.
Joyner is an elite ball knower because he got all 3 players right, just in the wrong order.
So I flip-flopped Westbrook and Robinson?
If you didn't flip-flop those, you would have been absolutely
Dang it!
Because it's Russell Westbrook, Oscar Robinson, and Nikola Jokic.
I swear, I didn't know he broke the actual, I didn't know he actually broke the actual.
That's the only thing I did. See, I'm pretty embarrassed about my list now.
You know what? And I will say the one that surprised me was actually Nikola Jokic. Not because well, let me tell you. The only reason why that surprised me is because I know Nikola Jokic from 4 years ago. Started getting triple doubles on a consistent basis, but I didn't think he was anywhere near the top 3. In my honest, being straight up, I thought he was
a triple double last season or something.
I thought he was a long way from the top 3.
I think I was overthinking it. I think once you said it surprised you, I was thinking it was probably some far out player we weren't thinking of.
Now, Oscar Robinson is the one that I expected both of you to get, but only Joyner got.
I forgot about Oscar Robinson, so I wasn't even thinking about him, to be honest.
Man, I'm mostly mad that I flip-flopped them, too.
Joyner takes the cake on that one. Congratulations.
I'm kind of mad that I flip-flopped those.
But I'll give you a redemption. I'll give y'all a redemption. Since we only have 2 games to cover, I'll kind of throw in a bonus question out there for you guys.
Okay.
If you guys can tell me, whichever one gets closer to the exact amount of triple doubles Russell Westbrook has in his career, what is his number right now? Whoever gets closer will.
Oh gosh.
Whoever gets closer. We'll get a special gift from your boy the next time we go to a Hawks game together. I'll bring the gift with me.
Speaking of that, have y'all got your tickets for the game in January?
No, but we'll go ahead and do that because I completely forgot. But no, we'll go ahead and do that. So yeah, if that's the next game we go to, whoever gets closer, I'll bring the gifts to one of you guys.
Hey, you still owe me a food and beverage item. Don't forget that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we do. Yeah,
I sure do.
Yeah.
I sure do. And I'll throw a gift on top of it if you get it right.
His exact number?
This is for Westbrook, right? For Westbrook, or
the number 1 right now. This is the most triple doubles in his career as of right now.
Mm-hmm.
Crap.
Very
I
impressive.
I don't want to go too high because I think 1,000's insane.
1,000 is insane. I'll go ahead and tell you that right now. 1,000 is insane.
I want to say you know what? I'm gonna say 530.
530 is Joyner's guess. Okay, Chase. He's locked that one in.
I don't think it's that high.
You think it's lower than 530?
I think it is.
Okay.
I want to say 162.
All right. Let me just look at something real quick.
I need redemption. I'm very embarrassed about my list. I need redemption.
Okay. I just wanted to verify that this was the right number. Okay. What was your guess again, Chase?
162.
Okay. I will go ahead and reveal the winner. My special gift, which shall not be named right now, is going to go to Chase. Chase is closer. Is closer.
I need that redemption.
But you are still a little off. It is a decently amount higher than that.
Oh.
But you are closer than Joyner. As of right now, Russell Westbrook has 208 career triple doubles.
I shouldn't. Why did they go 500? Why? That's still insane.
I don't know why. I went Jason Williams and LeBron James.
The reason why LeBron James is never a bad guess. The reason why Jason Williams surprised me is because that dude is not a rebounder whatsoever.
Well,
So I
I
was,
know, but I mean, I wasn't
No, he's
aligned
like,
to.
he's like the greatest, like probably like double doubles. He's probably like the
Yeah,
probably,
because I
double
know,
doubles because like the assists and stuff.
if
But
I had to guess,
I
if I
know
had
in
to guess,
terms. I know in terms of like inside scoring, like I said, he's probably the best, flashiest passes. You know, he racked up assists, and he wasn't a small guard. I mean, he's probably your average point guard size. But I mean, we seen guards nowadays get rebounds. So I was thinking maybe he had a couple crazy rebounding games. So
if
that's why I was.
if I was the one guessing, honestly, John Stockton would have been one of my guesses because you
he's
would think
6'1". He's pretty. That's pretty small. I mean,
you would think the amount of assists that he has in his career, surely he was able to rack up some kind of rebound or something like
I
that.
was the same height as Trae Young.
6'1"? Oh,
I
is
thought
he
he was
6'1"?
I
I
thought he
thought
was
he was
really,
tall. I thought he was
yeah,
taller. I thought he was like 6'3", 6'4".
I thought he was
Yeah, he's
taller than that
6'1".
too. Well, never mind then. He still would have been my guess though, but evidently that would have been
He's
very
talking
wrong.
about Jason Williams.
Yeah, Jason Williams. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about John Stockton.
Oh no! Oh no! I don't know. I mean, John Stockton.
Let's see. He is same. Yep, same height, 6'1".
Yeah, and yeah, he is currently the all-time leader in assists. So,
Let's see.
well, I mean, he still will be the all-time leader in assists
How
because
many?
Paul is not breaking that record.
No, no. Well, he wasn't going to anyway.
Let me see. Did John Stockton even have any triple doubles? Oh, he did. He had
Maybe like what 50?
he had one career triple double.
One. Okay, it's not even 50.
Where
It's
he
one.
at the age of 39, it was in a playoff game. He scored
39.
He scored 12 points, 11 assists, and had 10 rebounds against the Dallas Mavericks. That was the only triple double.
39 years old and did it. Wow. Okay.
Good for him.
Only triple double he ever had in his career. That's crazy.
Okay.
Well, again, moving on, guys. I guess we'll hop right into the first game, which took place on Friday night against the Detroit Pistons in Little Caesars Arena. And let me tell you guys, the Hawks and the Pistons, this was going into this matchup. This was already the third time this season we've been faced up against the Pistons, and both times did not go so well. We knew going to this matchup, the juggernaut we had in front of us. I mean, the Pistons have emerged as one of the more, I don't want to say surprising because they had high expectations on them from last year, but I don't think anybody expect them to maintain the top of the East dominance that they had since the start of the season. But they proved that it wasn't just a first month fluke, because here in December, they are still the sole owners of first place in the Eastern Conference by a decent amount of games. So you got to hand to the Pistons. And when you look at them play, it's not that surprising as to why. So just for a quick little recap, and I'll throw it over one of you guys, the Detroit Pistons delivered, again, one of the most complete performances you'll ever see in a basketball game, and that just unfortunately happened against the Atlanta Hawks. 142-115 was your final, and I think when you look at the Pistons, especially in that game on Friday night, it's every coach's dream, because this team has all the depth that you can ask for, to the point where their bench plays almost as good as their starters, sometimes even better than their starting five in some nights. They're efficient, they're relentless, and I don't think you're going to see a team pace on both ends of the floor as much as the Pistons do. It seems like they don't ever get fatigued, because even in late game down the stretch, they didn't slow down. Even in garbage time, their bench came out there and continued to dominate transition points, forced turnovers. I mean, it was just an all-out battle. They had no break. They were all gassed, and I respect it. And I think it's if you're a Pistons fan, I know none of us guys are here, but just through the lens of the Pistons fans, you have to be very excited with what the team has to offer, because they are putting up Piston historic balanced offense right now. Because you look back at what they did in the early 2000s days when they were winning NBA finals. I mean, you had guys like Isaiah Thomas on there
Isaiah Thomas was the 90s. The early 2000s was like
Ben Wallace, I guess.
Wallace.
Basically what I was getting at
Yeah.
is they were a physical team. Like they were your definition of old NBA physicality. And a lot of people around the association has said that's why the Pistons appear to be back in the eyes of the Piston faithful, because they see physicality from this team that they haven't seen since that era, back in the Chauncey Billups days, which that might have been 90s too. But anyways, and then
No, Chauncey was early 2000s.
okay. So at least I got that right. But yeah,
Well,
and I think, and again, the physicality goes to show on their offensive attack, and that's why you're able to see Pistons players have multiple guys getting double figures, which is what they did on Friday. They had 7 of their players in double figures, and they had scoring combinations from 12 different players overall. So it's an everybody eats mentality. And Isaiah Stewart, let me tell you, this is a guard that does not get enough praise in this league. He led the way with 17 points, and then it's funny you look at that because that was their leading scorer that night. It was just 17 points from Isaiah Stewart. So you would think 142 is not a feasible final number for them, but that just goes to show how many players on that roster was getting their share of the basketball. And Cade Cunningham, I mean, he had, and I know you guys witnessed this, but in late game in the fourth quarter, he had what people call the nail in the coffin. One of the most acrobatic layups I've ever seen from an NBA player, taking it from one end to the other.
you're thinking the wrong. Now that wasn't Pat. That was the second time we played the Pistons.
No, that was this past Friday night.
No, you talking about his reverse layup when he went past both defenders in the paint?
No.
Oh.
Anyway.
I thought you talking about like the play of the year that he's had so far.
No, I'm talking about at the end of this game. I'm just talking about Cade Cunningham had a steal. I think it was Nickeil Alexander-Walker that threw the ball away, and he went in and made like a highly contested layup. It was either on Jalen Johnson or it might have been a combo. I can't remember who was in the paint, but it was one of those nail in the coffin finishes, kind of like what Chase said in the second game, his play of the year reverse layup. It was eerily similar to that. But he only had 15 points and 7 assists. But again, it's just those numbers show the Pistons have this ability to spread the floor and keep fresh bodies rotating. And that proved to be too much for Atlanta to handle, like it did in the first 2 games. And so much so that the Hawks even seemed like we were mentally worn out as close as halftime. Like, we're not even talking about late through the third quarter. We're talking about it seemed like the Hawks were mentally checked out of that game, and that just goes to show how physically demanding this Pistons team is. But that's just the surface level numbers for the Pistons. I'm gonna let you or John tackle what the Hawks did on their end of the floor that also contributed to the loss, but not all bad things. Because, like I said, Jalen Johnson was able to maintain his triple-double number and keep that contributor going. But yeah, why don't you guys tackle a little bit on the Hawks end of the floor?
Yeah, so the Hawks, basically what it came down to was again, the points in the paint. We only had 50 compared to their 72. Which
that's horrible.
Yeah, you can't have that. But it also doesn't help when you're missing a 7-footer who will not be mentioned at all. At least right now. But yeah. So like you said earlier, Andrew, they did have like 30 fast break points. We had 20 total turnovers. 9 of those being 16 of those turnovers being steals from the Pistons. Yeah, it just didn't help. And then they didn't out rebound us by a whole lot. They only out rebounded us by 3. But again, like the shooting percentage was just like better than ours by like 12. So yeah,
very efficient.
It's funny you say like the nail in the coffin shot Cade Cunningham had the end of the game, but for being honest, a nail in the coffin came midway through the second quarter. There's not a lot of good things we can say about the Atlanta Hawks performance. against the Pistons this past Friday night. I do want to take a moment and kind of appreciate Nikhil Alexander-Walker. We saw him start the game, on a hot start offensively behind his facilitation, his three-point shooting. But I think we really need to kind of elevate the talk behind how much he has thrived in the starting point guard world since Trae Young's injury. Jalen Johnson, of course, is our main guy on offense. He's our number one. He's our true facilitator. But Nikhil Alexander-Walker is taking that point guard role to heart. I mean, he's the type of guy that always took a backseat in Minnesota. His name really came to life in the Timberwolves postseason last year when he was a huge guy off the bench. But he never really had that starting point guard role until he came to Atlanta and Trae Young got injured. And he has proven himself to be a top starting point guard in the league and a guy that you can always trust, on inside scoring. He's one of the best contested inside scorers that the Hawks have had in a while, if you ask me.
And that goes a lot to do with his wingspan as well.
Absolutely. A very lanky point guard for his size. But, I want to go back to the Pistons. They really started to take control, halfway through the second quarter. And it was just a mixture of, sloppy offense from the Hawks. We said to have good ball control. We got pickpocketed a lot, especially trying to take the ball across midcourt. We couldn't, produce any steady ball movement. But the Pistons, man, they just had their way inside the paint. Double machine, Jalen Durant, like you said, 17 from Isaiah Stewart off the bench, and Cade Cunningham, of course, kept getting fed with these baseline cuts, a touch and go ball movement, and Joyner, like you mentioned, man, once again, the absence of KP, and the Hawks just really struggle to get any strength inside the paint when you're missing a guy like the Unicorn. But
we needed a rainbow.
And one guy we just can't escape from, Miami. Every time we play Miami, we struggle with this guy, and it's the same here with Detroit. Duncan Robinson has continued to be a thorn in the Hawks' side with his consistent lights out shooting from deep. Anytime the Hawks seemed like that they were pushing momentum to their side, Duncan Robinson just instantly disrupted it with the transition three that the Hawks just couldn't contain. So he's like the new PJ Washington, the one guy we just can't contain. And, shout out, like you said, Andrew, just a complete team in Detroit, man. 8 different scorers off the bench. Their bench is completely outplayed ours, kind of like what the Hawks did to the Sixers on Sunday, just reversed. So, for the Hawks, it was really just Asa Newell and Muhammad Gay that produced off the bench, and even their numbers were minimal. So it was just completely outmatched, starting lineup off the bench, all 4 quarters. This is a game you definitely want to forget as a Hawks fan.
Yeah, and then like I said, we'll sprinkle in some little happy salt on this game because, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, despite the loss, Jalen Johnson, again, still continued his incredible individual run for Atlanta in terms of triple doubles. He had his 3rd consecutive triple-double in this game against the Pistons. He finished with 19 points, 11 rebounds, and 11 assists. And this performance had some historical significance to it. So it wasn't just the Pistons that were putting up historical numbers, because this triple-double marked Johnson's 5th triple-double of the season, which Joyner kind of alluded to earlier in this episode. That broke Bill Bridges' franchise record from 1969 through 1970, and the 7th of his career, which, like Joyner said, tied Mookie Baylock for the most in Hawks history. And after that game, Johnson, not John, maybe John does. I don't know. I don't know what John's life was before we met him. But Jalen Johnson etched his name into NBA company, which is just very fitting with our start bench cut, because he became the 5th player ever to record 15 straight games with at least 7 points, 7 rebounds, and 7 assists, which joined Oscar Robinson, Wilt Chamberlain, Nikola Jokic, and Russell Westbrook. So that just goes to show that Jalen Johnson is trending in the same directions as the top 3 triple-double players of all time, which means by the time that Jalen Johnson retires, he might just join that top 3 as well. You never know.
And not to mention, that was also his third in a row and his 6th double-double in a row, which he did continue Sunday night, which we're about to get here in a little bit.
Absolutely. But before I throw it to you guys for some final thoughts, I did want to throw this out there since we're talking about record-breaking numbers, because this again goes to show the completeness of this Pistons team. So the Pistons had 12 of their players score at least 7 points, which matched an NBA record that was previously set by the 2019 Milwaukee Bucks and the 2021 San Antonio Spurs. And I think, so that tied the record. So they didn't break it, but it's still tied for the most players on a roster to score at least 7 points in an NBA game. So there was 2 record-breaking feats from one from each team. So despite the little bit of a lean in the score, at least both teams had their moments. But of course, it doesn't feel as good when there's not a win behind it. So I'm not trying to say trying to shrug out the loss, because it definitely was a little disappointing. Because you'd think after 2 previous matchups against one team, surely the next result would be better, but that one ended up being the worst out of the 3 matchups.
I think Atlanta fans can understand that. We had to sacrifice this win so the Falcons could get their win on Thursday. We couldn't get the best of both worlds. It was a diligent sacrifice we had to make.
Yeah, but here's the thing: one of those teams can't make the playoffs, and one of them still can.
But also, here's the thing: is we know the Hawks are in prime position for the playoffs. The Falcons just had to get their moment, so we sacrificed a win for the Hawks, so the Falcons could have their moment.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true. And you're also screwing the Rams out of a good playoff good pick. Good pick, because they have your pick, unfortunately.
Since the pick's not our own, we're gonna make it the worst pick we possibly can.
Yeah,
that's and we got the Rams coming up. We got the Cardinals next week. We can beat the Cardinals. Then we got the Rams. Maybe we can have some fun and mess around and beat things. We love to beat the teams we're not supposed to. That's just the prime condition of the Falcons team right now. We'll lose the games we're supposed to win, but then we'll win the games we're supposed to lose.
And apparently we just play peak football when we're on primetime. Now, we've won every single primetime except the 49ers. But we've won every
3-1
game.
3-1.
And we look like a different, you see how I know this is a football podcast, but we dominated the Bills on primetime. We dominated the Vikings on primetime. We beat the Buccaneers on primetime. So who knows? We're probably going to end up being the Rams since we play on Monday Night Football. But moving on, back to basketball. Got another game to get into. Now, this game kind of got my personal jitters flowing, because didn't realize how many pissed off 76ers fans I was going to encounter on Instagram.
Me and you both, friend. Me and you both.
But I went on a complete rage war in the comment section of the Hawks final score post, and it got so intense that the dude jumped into my DMs and started. He jumped in my DMs and started going after my dead dog. So you can just imagine how intense this conversation got. But
my God!
I had a blast with it. I was completely rage baiting him the entire time. So I had
Philly fans in general, not just Sixers fans, but Eagles fans, Phillies fans, even Flyers fans. Even though I don't really know hockey like that,
they're bad. Philly fans in general just suck.
I feel like before we get into this game, we just have to clear the air on one thing. It's just a big. The NBA posted the final score. They were posting highlights from this game, and one big thing that each Sixers fan had in common they couldn't get past was the final moment of the game when the Hawks were inbounding the ball at midcourt, and we gave it to Nickeil Alexander-Walker on the other side of the backcourt, and everybody was screaming and complaining that should have been a backcourt violation. But what they fail to realize, which it's really not that hard of a concept to comprehend, is number one, the foul occurred before we even got to the other in the backcourt. So even if it was a quote-unquote backcourt violation, it could have been, because the foul occurred before he crossed the backcourt. Now, I know it was a little confusing because the ref didn't blow their whistle until 5 seconds later, and BJ Edgecombe fouled him the second time. But then they went back and corrected their mistake. And I've seen many Hawks fans try to explain that to Sixers fans. They can't get past the concept. The Sixers broadcast couldn't understand the concept that the foul happened before half backcourt. So before we get in this game, we just had to clear the air. No, it was not a backcourt violation. The first foul, the initial foul, the one BJ Edgecombe was screaming for, initially happened before we crossed backcourt.
You could also
not that hard of a concept to understand.
You could also argue that Nickeil Alexander-Walker didn't maintain full possession until he was on the other side of the court, which by rule means it's not a backcourt violation. And that's funny enough. That's actually what my comment debate was about, because the guy was trying to say the ref screwed him over, yada, yada, yada. But yeah, getting into this game. Last night, hosted the 76ers. This was the second time we played the 76ers this year. The previous time in Philadelphia came down to a tight double overtime win for the Atlanta Hawks. Some of the most insane buckets were put up in that game. If you missed that game, I advise you go check out the highlights, because it is by far one of the wildest finishes I've ever seen to a basketball game. But the Hawks came out on top, so all was good in the world. And we continued our ownership of the 76ers last night with a 120-117 tight contested battle. Now, this game, again, Sixers fans like to argue that they were without their two best players because Tyrese Maxey didn't play. But let me tell you, we have gone months without Trae Young, and we've practically gone weeks without Kristaps Porzingis. I don't want to hear a dang thing about you not having Tyrese Maxey. Anyways, I just proceeded with that one. This game, I'll let one of you guys take full control of it. I'm going to save Dyson Daniels for you, Chase, because I know that ties into your argument you had on Instagram. But man, what a freaking game from Dyson Daniels. Easily the best game he's had since he's been an Atlanta Hawk, at least on the offensive side of things. But Jordan, I'm going to throw to you first and let you start off with this game.
Yeah, so so like I mentioned earlier, Jalen Johnson finished with a record breaking triple double.
Yes, he did.
His fourth in a row. He finished with 12 points. Like I mentioned earlier, didn't have the best offensive game, but like you said, offense isn't the only part of basketball.
Very true.
We're gonna play defense, still gotta set picks and do the dirty work, which is what he did. He did the dirty work.
Not everyone has to have a good scoring night.
Finished with 12 points, 10 rebounds, 12 assists, and 1 steal and 1 block. Onyeka Okongwu had a double-double, finishing with 20 points, 5 3-pointers, 15 boards, 4 assists, and 2 blocks. Zachary stepped up a little bit.
Ooh, 14
points. 3 3-pointers, 1 rebound, 1 assist, and 2 steals. So got at it on the defense.
Really happy to see that game.
Noah finished with 12 points. He also had a bit of a quiet scoring night, but hey, that's okay. That's okay.
Hey, given the minutes he had,
6 assists, and 1 steal. But the man that Chase is going to get into in a little bit, Dyson Daniels, who we signed for defense, which we did, but let's be honest, he can hoop on the offensive side.
He got his confidence back in this game.
27 points, 13 for 19 from the field, one 3-point shot, but hey, that's fine. 10 rebounds, so another double-double.
That's what I love, man. Give me a guard that can rebound like that, man.
4 assists, and not two steals, 2 blocks. More defensive stats.
There was one block in that second quarter where he was on that fast, but dude, he like channeled in his inner Dikembe Mutombo with that ball, dude. Dude, Buddy got up, man.
He's wearing a 5, and Dikembe Mutombo wore 55, so just
close enough.
Yeah, just divide that by 11. I just times 5 times 11, get 55. And then my personal favorite Atlanta Hawk this season, Vic Krejci finished with a solid 19 points off the bench and 4 rebounds.
Once again, I'm gonna say it every time he goes off. He is becoming what we thought Luke Kennard was gonna be off the bench. He he's just increasingly progressing in terms of off balance shooting. I mean, Andrew can contest. There's many times Vic Krivich would, catch the ball, turn around, instantly shoot it off balance. I'd look at Andrew, I'd be like, Vic, that's a horrible shot. And then it'd go in. Like the one he had in the corner that bounced 5 feet in the air and then went back in. But that's just the type of shooter Vita is. Look, if you can do it consistently, I don't care how bad of a shot it is as long as you're making it. And just the catch and shoot mentality that he has. I mean, it's really Kyle Korver-esque, even like Duncan Robin-esque. Just the moment he makes contact with the ball, he's exactly where he wants to be. And he's just going to drain it every time. This is something that's been consistent since the out west road trip the Hawks had about a month ago.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it does wear one digit higher than Kyle Korver did. So
it's not a coincidence. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah. Maybe just guys that wear a number of 20 is they're a good shooter.
Yeah.
Well, let me tell you this. Something that was also very odd, aside from Dyson Daniels' very efficient night from the field, was something we saw in the second quarter. When Philadelphia, kind of midway through the second quarter, found themselves up 47-46, which was a little surprising because the Hawks really started off that second quarter into the first quarter, kind of gaining momentum. And then the Sixers quickly responded and reclaimed momentum. And guess who paved the way? Paul George, turning back the clock about 10 years in this game, carried the offensive load for Philadelphia and poured in 35 points, which is something we haven't seen Paul George do in a while.
It was a day of angst yesterday. It was weird tuning in, watching Phil Rivers play quarterback for the Colts, and then watching the Hawks game and watching Paul George balling everybody. I felt like I was back in 2013.
Yeah, I had to check my calendar, make sure that I didn't time travel for some reason. But and then VJ Edgecombe, the rookie, he's had kind of a cold spurt ever since he really started off the season on a very high note. But he's kind of gaining back that stride, had 26 points added for the 76ers, and he had a very critical stretch in the third quarter, which is the reason why the fourth quarter was so close. And with both Paul George and Joel Embiid getting rest on the bench, Edgecombe was able to erupt in that third quarter for 17, and where he got most of his 17 points. And that, like I said, kept the Sixers in striking distance and set up the fourth quarter for another dramatic finish against the Sixers. And I'll throw in this about Joel Embiid. He finished with a nice double-double. He had 22 points, 14 rebounds. I mean, he was the typical anchor you'd expect in the paint on both ends. But like I said, and Philadelphia's fans are going to plead this till the day they die, Tyrese Maxey was out. He missed his second consecutive game due to illness, kind of like Kristaps Porzingis, and the absence. Because listen, Tyrese Maxey, he's their primarily ball handler now. I'm not going to say that them losing Maxey is not a big deal because it's kind of like the same weight that the Hawks experienced when we lost Trae Young. When your primary ball handler misses a game, it forces your team to pivot, and you can't avoid that. And I feel like that's what was absent from the Sixers in the closing minutes. Because let me tell you this, Sixers fans can argue all they want about the backcourt violation not being called. But if I am a Sixers fan, the thing I'm going to be more pissed about is the horrific game management that we saw from the Sixers when they were down by one with possession to get the potential final shot, and Paul George and Isaac Okoro, I think it was the other guy. I have to fact check that. But they point up two of the most ridiculous shots I've ever seen.
Hey, Isaac Okoro is not on the Sixers.
Yeah, that was gosh.
Who am I trying to think of?
What's jersey number? Do you know?
No, let me look it up.
While I just look at that, I'm glad you brought that up, Andrew, because I think this contests to what the Hawks did so well defensively last night. This is one thing that's been very consistent every time the Hawks play the Sixers. The Hawks' rim protection is always elite when we play Philadelphia, and we really just forced them into tough mid-range shots and really took them out of their element with Embiid, because even Joel Embiid, he had his way in the paint on the defensive end. But on the offensive end, he was very unproductive inside, only shooting 8 for 20. We were contesting all his mid-range, all his inside scoring. But once again, when you're missing a guy like KP, rebounds going to be an issue. So the Sixers did collect a lot of offensive rebounds, which is a problem. But the only reason the Sixers really clawed their way back into the game was in the fourth quarter because of some of the difficult beyond the arc shots that the Hawks were, or that they were shooting. Because I mean, the Hawks really made them uncomfortable, allowing them to take a lot of 3-point shots they don't necessarily take in a game because they couldn't get their inside scoring going. And there was also a mixture of some inconsistent offense down the stretch. But like you said, the final possession, as you mentioned, Angie, I think the only reason they did that was because they knew they weren't going to be able to find their way inside because of how good the rim protection is for the Atlanta's defense. With the naked Kongru, Muhammad Gay had a really big defensive night off the bench. Dyson Daniels, like you said, Angie, on transition was very big defensively. Asa Newell, we have got to start a petition to get Asa Newell more minutes because not only is he becoming an automatic bucket, I don't think it's talked about how great his inside scoring is. Our inside defense is so top notch every time Asa Newell is on the court helping. So I think that's the reason the shot selection was so poor and that final possession was because they knew they weren't going to be able to score inside because how great the Hawks' rim protection has been.
Yeah, and Quentin Grimes is the guy that I was trying to think of.
Quentin Grimes, that's right.
Why Isaiah Coro came to my mind, but Quentin Grimes is the guy that I was thinking of. And you're right about Asa Newell, Chase. I mean, especially when he had those late minutes in the third quarter, showcased that 3-point shot from the wing that was really nice. Then he had that backdoor cut that was delivered to him that he ended with that really impressive one-handed flush. And yeah, it's moments like that that make you wonder if he just give him at least 6 or 7 more minutes and see how much of a difference that makes for not only his archetype and his development, but how it's going to benefit the Hawks altogether. Because that 5-point swing, that 7-point swing, 6-7-point swing that he had in the third quarter really alluded to how the Hawks were able to set up this dramatic finish, which we will get into because in the final 2 minutes, it was as tense and as chaotic as the final 2 minutes were back in Philadelphia. Dyson Daniels had a really big bucket inside, which just over a minute.
Well, don't get into that. I need to say that for my Dyson Daniels rant.
Okay. The final 2 minutes altogether? Or just that one?
I just keep going.
That was the only thing I was going to say about Dyson Daniels. Was that right there? But I was just wrapping up the final 2 minutes altogether, saying Dyson Daniels had that big shot with just over a minute left, which gave the Hawks a 4-point cushion. And that basket appeared to kind of swing the game. You know, Hawks were thinking, okay, we've got barely over a minute left. We're up by 4. Get a stop, get another bucket, and the game's over. Well, this is when Quentin Grimes answered with that clutch 3-pointer to pull Philadelphia within 1. And then moments later, Embiid secured a vital defensive rebound to give the Sixers that final opportunity that we just mentioned, where Paul George and Quentin Grimes took those 2 3-point shots in the closing seconds that none of them fell. And then Grimes, desperation, had that heave at the buzzer after Nickeil Alexander-Walker's free throws, after the whole backcourt nonsense. And that buzzer 3 barely rattled out because the inbound was given to Quentin Grimes on the other side of the court in the corner, and Vit Krivich had to defend it for a second. I was a little worried because it looked like Vit might have accidentally fouled him. The replay showed that he didn't, but in real time, I guess because of the way Quentin Grimes fell backwards, it looked like Vit kind of pushed him, so my heart sank. And then the 3 barely rattled out, and I was like, oh, my gosh.
Even before that, I think one thing we got to talk about is back into the chaotic shot choice the Sixers had between Quentin Grimes and Paul George. On the second 3 from Paul George in the corner, we got the rebound. The rebound went to Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and then he made a crucial mistake. Instead of trying to hang on to the ball, he tried to force feed it to Jalen Johnson down the court, which Joel Embiid tipped and almost got possession of, which gave the Sixers another chance there at the end. But thankfully, Nickeil Alexander-Walker collected the deflection, and they fouled him there, which they had a foul to give, and that's when the whole backcourt mess started. But Dyson Daniels, man.
I was going to say one more thing, and then I was going to flip it over you about Dyson Daniels. It has nothing to do with Dyson Daniels. I was going to point the finishing touch. Oh, okay. Or you want to say anything about Dyson Daniels?
Yeah.
Huh? I'm confused.
Good. Just
I thought you said you were about to finish up something.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
go for it.
you
Go for it.
didn't look too thrilled about it, so I just say go ahead and do your Dyson Daniels thing.
Huh?
Go ahead.
You talked about Dyson already.
Go ahead.
I'm so confused.
Just
Anyways.
say the Dyson Daniels thing.
Dyson Daniels, man. I mean, look, we mentioned before. I mean, Jane Johnson had an off night shooting wise, still collected his 4th triple-double and his 6th double-double this season, like Joyner mentioned. But Dyson Daniels, at many points of the game, just became a main facilitator on offense. One aspect of his game that severely progressed is its inside scoring. I know you mentioned on past podcasts, there are multiple. I mean, Dyson Daniels has always been a confident shooter this season. And one of his biggest shots, kind of Trae Young, is he likes the mid-range floater inside the paint, but that's kind of a shot he struggled hitting towards the start of the season. But as of late, that's been his main point on offense, and he's just nailing it now. And he's doing it on a consistent basis. Last night, that's a big reason he collected 27 points. And one thing that this is where these Instagram arguments came from that I had with Sixers fans the other night is one thing we can't get and understand is Dyson Daniels, yes, we signed defensively, but people don't realize how big of an impact he can make on the offensive end. And it's not the offensive numbers that you can look at that's impressive because he usually only scores about 15 to 18 a game, but it's at what moments of the game we can rely on Dyson Daniels to score consistently, and it's late game situations like he did last night. Jay Johnson, when our number one wasn't getting shots and fall. Our outside score was getting a little bit inconsistent. We relied on Dyson Daniels to facilitate himself inside, which the Hawks did very well because the Sixers' inside defense wasn't the greatest last night. And Dyson Daniels was able to come up with clutch buckets like the one you mentioned at the end. And it's always in these late game situations, at least it has been recently, where Dyson Daniels had just stepped up big time and really added that aspect to his game. And all these Sixers fans were coming at me saying, like, bro, he had one good offensive game all season. I'm like, that's just not true. It's not, he's not a guy that's going to put 30, 40 points a game. That's not the point here. It's just a guy that, I mean, the Hawks are full of offensive weapons, and Dyson Daniels isn't going to be a top option on offense because he's a defensive guy. But if it would at a point in a game where we need him to produce offensively, he can. And that's an aspect to his game that's just severely underrated. For some reason, Sixers fans just can't get that in their hand. And you think the game would speak for itself, but I guess not. I guess it's just not the case for these guys.
Well, I mean, like, to be fair, though, and I'm not trying to, like, say, I'm not trying to, like defend that Sixers fan, but I'm saying, like, they don't watch every Hawks game like we do. They don't see how
exactly.
How they don't really see like how like good or bad he does like with offensively or defensively each game. So I mean, I don't like blame him for saying that. He just,
I see, but
make some excuse as to why they lost.
And even while I explained that, he still just couldn't gather that reason. He kept saying, like, oh, Dyson Daniels only scores 14. He only scores 18. Like, dude, that's not the point. That's not the point I'm trying to make.
That's not bad at all. Like, scoring 14, that's great. Like,
especially
points in NBA is hard.
Especially with the offensive weapons the Hawks already have. If you can sneak in an extra 14, 18, that makes a big difference.
Yeah. Scoring the NBA is hard.
They don't understand that, man. They just don't understand.
They don't.
And it's that narrow Philly mentality, which is why I didn't take my Philly rant too seriously with that one fan. Basically,
ring the bell, man. Ring the bell.
Basically, the conversation ended as I proved his backcourt violation theory to be wrong with what Chase said about the foul that was initiated before the backcourt violation and the fact that you could argue that he never had full possession of the ball. And then that's when he decided to go after my dead dog for some reason.
Also, Andrew, I did.
See, that's what these stupid dedicated, super dedicated sports fans do. They're so delusional about their team being bad. They go after you personally.
I was saying, you proved him wrong.
I heard sports cities like Boston or Philly.
You proved him wrong. And he attacked you personally. But AJ, one comment that I saw, I was going through y'all's conversation. I thought it was hilarious when the guy brought up the fact that he worked for the NBA, that he knows what he's talking about in terms of officiating. I'm like, you don't work for the NBA, dude. He said he works for the NBA.
So I did some personal investigation. I went on his Instagram page. Buddy goes to James Madison University. He does not
He was
work
definitely
for the NBA.
drunk. He was definitely drunk. He was definitely like drunk texting you, Andrew.
Buddy
Oh,
said he
yeah,
works for the NBA.
Buddy does not work, and there is nothing on his social media that, like, if you worked for the NBA, you would be smart to have that on your social media so anybody that comes across the page would know about it. But no,
He wouldn't. I mean, and he wouldn't. I mean, and he wouldn't like risk your job by like attacking someone personally like that.
Exactly.
And also,
Exactly. If he really worked for the NBA, I could screenshot that DM and get that dude fired instantly.
Yeah.
Also, unless you're an NBA official, your point's just as invalid as everybody else's. Because it's only like working for the NBA
We're
doesn't mean you understand all the rules.
We don't know. We don't really know everything. We're just like.
That's what I'm saying. Like, your point's just as invalid as everybody else's. Unless you're an NBA official, you don't understand the rules more than anybody else.
Because even coaches get it wrong, and they're legitimate coaches. So what makes you think you're entitled to have the right opinion?
We need to get this guy on the podcast. Send him the link and invite him. We need to get him on the podcast.
Oh, see, the thing is, he blocked me, so I can't go back to his DMs.
Hey, he didn't block me.
Wait, do some would you like some of the DM in your chat box, or did you delete it?
No, well, can you go back? Let me look. I don't know. I didn't know you could go back. I thought after someone blocked you couldn't go back to your DMs.
I still have the comments. I still see the comments, and I can still see his Instagram, so I can still DM him.
Okay. Chase, invite him.
I'll do it. Hey,
DM this dude.
No,
I'll do it.
Every time when I click on his DMs, it just says that I've been blocked, so it won't let me view the DMs.
I got you.
But yeah,
I'm gonna give this man an invite.
That'll be our separate series of just like of bringing in fans who want to argue basketball stuff with us. We'll just sit him down for 30 minutes and
oh my gosh, I found him.
You got it?
Yeah, I found him. I'm not gonna DM him because like
he goes to James Madison, bro.
He does. He's a JMU guy.
I won't dox him, but he does go to James Madison. So if anyone out here knows someone that goes to James Madison, we might just be talking about your good buddy, who definitely works for the NBA. But yeah, Hawks won the game. That's final. End of story. And now we await another minor break while the Knicks and the Spurs play their NBA Cup championship game tomorrow. And the Hawks will do battle again on Thursday against the Charlotte Hornets in dreaded Charlotte, North Carolina, which if you're a Hawks fan, you know that place is not too kind to us. No matter how bad, I mean, the Hornets may be 10 games under 500, but they just knocked off the Cavs. And Con Canoopel had arguably the best game of his career against the Cavs that game. And the Hornets owner has officially deemed Con Canoopel as the franchise player.
I want to bring up that tweet that the NBA Central put out about that. So I think LaMelo Ball could be traded by February's deadline.
That's what I mean.
His future in Charlotte's no longer safe.
Con Canoopel is the new franchise player. Bob Miller's healthy and he's playing good basketball. LaMelo Ball is quickly being swept underneath the rug by that organization. I would not be surprised either, John, if we see LaMelo Ball in a different jersey by March. Would not be surprised.
I guess before we pass off any closing remarks, I guess one Atlanta Hawks update we do got to discuss is there's a new development on Kristaps Porzingis talking about his health and his heart issue. We knew like early this year he was given that condition for his heart. That was going to make that kind of notify the Hawks that he was going to need more rest than originally thought. But I mean, it's getting to the point he's playing about once a week, if that, maybe twice every 2 weeks. He's always out with that illness, but he was reevaluated with that heart condition, and now they're saying he's gonna miss an automatic 2 weeks, and then he's gonna be reevaluated again in 2 weeks about his heart condition. And they're gonna see how severe it is and how that's gonna affect his play. So now the organization's in a position where you kind of know Kristaps not a guy you can rely to play very consistently. which means I don't want to say he was a waste of a pickup. It was definitely a gamble. We knew the risk we took by picking up Kristaps Porzingis. We didn't know it was going to be this bad, but now it's like we know we had to trade Kristaps now. We know we can't keep him, but who else is going to want him with his heart condition? It's kind of like Chris Bosh. This is eerily similar to what retired Chris Bosh very early.
Which is why it devastates me to see that the Hawks are one of the considerations to get Anthony Davis, because Anthony Davis by name is always going to be attractive, but it's going to be the same risk we took with Kristaps Porzingis. And if we make an impact trade to get Anthony Davis, and we trade, which is something I don't want to do because it's going to acquire us to trade Dallas, our New Orleans pick, which is a potential lottery pick, which I definitely don't want to do. But if we press the go button and Anthony Davis ends up the same as Kristaps Porzingis, then we just threw away a lottery pick for nothing.
And they were no better than Nico Harrison.
Absolutely.
So my thoughts on like the whole Kristaps Porzingis thing. I mean, like, yes, it's tough, but what if instead of trading him, we kept him on the bench and we just played him like maybe like 10, like 15, 20 minutes a night?
Sure. Still get our money's worth in some kind of aspect, because we know the talent he has.
His condition. It seems like the illness was like saying like like bad conditioning. So maybe he just can't play like a full 35 minute game, like a full 35 minute game like a normal starter would. So why not put him on the bench, elevate a Congo to the starting lineup like we did second half of the season when we lost Capella for the season when we lost Capella for the season due to his injury. I'm just have Kristaps play like 20 minutes a night, put up a solid maybe like 20 points off the bench.
That's a good point, John. We've kind of already progressed towards maybe that kind of situation, because look at the minutes Muhammad Gay's been getting since Kristaps been down, and look at the performance he's pulling out on a nightly basis. Like, Muhammad Gay is a very certified number 2 off the bench in terms of big man. So I wouldn't mind at all, starting a Kongwu, having a Muhammad Gay right behind him. Like you said, John, getting Kristaps minimal minutes, which, it's not, obviously it's going to be like 10 to 15, which is very disappointing for Kristaps, but we're still going to get that same production. Like, we're still going to get Kristaps talent, just not as much as we thought.
Like going back to the last game he played against the Nuggets. He had 20 minutes off the bench, but he scored 25 points.
Yeah, exactly.
Before 3-point shots. The problem is they have Jokic. That was the issue.
And Jokic's number and his minutes aren't being limited. So
right.
Another thing I
was like, it's like my proposal was keep Kristaps, get our money's worth from him, but keep him on the bench. That way he's not playing. That way he's not playing a full 30, 35 minutes. That way this illness shouldn't be affecting him as much.
Right.
He's not playing as much.
Yeah, and it's gonna be hard to trade him because of his heart condition.
Exactly. No one's gonna want him. I don't even know. I don't even know why we honestly took that deal, even though we got a lot for him.
Yeah, it was a risk. Was a risk.
But hey, so.
Another thing, I guess I'll end it on this note, then we can wrap up this episode. Since y'all guys yapped about Kristaps Porzingis and the bad news there, I think just to end it on a bright spot, so that way we're not all doom and gloom about potential trading. Because what you guys said, the only reason why I don't think that's going to work is because this heart condition is very, very severe that we've come to find out. So I don't think Kristaps is even in a position to play 15-minute games every single game. But I think even if we limited his numbers to 10 to 15-minute games, that's going to be pointing the same amount of stress on his heart as him going out there and playing 30 minutes a game every other night. That's why he's being forced to sit out and get reevaluated for 2-week span just to get evaluated again and see if he's even eligible to play. But because we're on the tracker of players and them not playing, Trae Young on the bright spot has been his reevaluation is coming up. In the midst of his reevaluation to see if he's going to be clear to play by the end of the month, he is expected to return to practice as soon as next week. And we even saw last night pregame before the game against the Sixers, Trae Young was out there in almost full uniform doing a lot of intense pregame drills by himself, and physically looked like he was unbothered and doing very, very well for himself. So that is very good news on that end.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully he can get. Hopefully, like being out that long, he doesn't come back rusty. Which he will be a little rusty, but like as long as that rust doesn't last like 3 months or at least by early February when the trade deadline comes up. Because if he's so rusty, I have zero faith that he will be a Hawk past the trade deadline.
I think the latest projection is the Sunday the 21st against the Bulls is the latest projection that I saw that we could expect Trae Young to make his NBA return. So keep an eye on that. I know he has to get reevaluated, so that's subject to change. But as of right now, they're looking at December 21st for his return.
Which will be perfect because Chase and I will be at the game on the 21st and the 23rd. So I would love nothing more than to be there in person for Trae Young's return. But we are bleeding over time a little bit, so I guess we'll go ahead and wrap up this episode now. But thank you guys for tuning in to episode 58 of the Talkin ATL Hawks. I'm glad that we were able to get a lot of content out here today, even though we only had 2 games to cover.
There's a lot to talk about.
We'll have 3 games to cover next weekend, and hopefully some other news that we can fill in the gaps with. But before I wrap up this episode, I think it's only fitting to wrap it up like this. John, I know you of all people in here are going to appreciate this because I'm not into the lore like you are, but I know you're going to appreciate this.
Oh God! You're gonna make me cry, dude.
Triple H, man, we love him.
We lost a legend, boys. I'm listen.
See that's another reason why my weekend was kind of crappy.
Is that Edge's theme song?
I'm not a WWE
fan. Kick him.
I'm not a WWE fan.
I'm joking. I'm joking.
I'm not a WWE fan like John is, but I'm also respectable enough to not call the GOAT of WWE Edge. So, Chase is sitting right there. He thinks he's getting back on the show, but I'm not going to let him back on after that disrespectful comment to the GOAT of WWE. So, until next time, boys, this has been Talkin ATL Hawks.
Yeah, see you all next week.